Second.
Okay.
And we are recording. So welcome into everybody. It's been a month and a half since we last had one of these. So I appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy Friday, it sounds like, for Mr. Kissel to join us for about an hour and just really kind of get back in here. Patrick up in Flagstaff had kind of asked about these, and I know early on we had committed to this. So at least if we can do one a month for the time being, I'm happy to continue hosting these. Obviously, for anybody that's new, hasn't been a part of this, this is really just an opportunity for transportation leadership to get together and talk about what's going on. And I think hopefully this will live beyond COVID, and we can just continue to talk about some of the hot topics that are going on at the time. So with that being said, try and keep yourself muted where you can. Use the comment box as much as you can. And I'm just going to mute somebody, get some feedback there. Use the comment box where you can, and we'll just, have some side conversations if you want, ask questions. This is being recorded, and we will post it up to the TA website along with the last one that we did in July. I hadn't had a chance to post that up, so I'll make sure to get these two up for this weekend for anybody that wants to share the link. So just a recap of really just here's our agenda. Just talk a little bit about how things have been going since the 17th when the governor's order was for us to at least open some schools for students. I know some open all their schools, some open only one school. So we'll talk a little bit about that, who's been transporting, how's it been, et cetera. And then a little bit of a look ahead and talk about a lot about staffing shortages and, kind of see about what people, I know Tommy said on a survey a couple weeks ago, asking about that and what people are trying to do to close those gaps. So we'll just get right into it. How's it been going? Anybody want to share?
No, I'll
Is it Megan?
Well, I can definitely say that, the feedback that we're getting, at least we opened on the 17th for all 25 schools. We're transporting about 160 special needs students. Our community ed kids that are being shuttled from sites where they were given the opportunity to come in and learn on site in a computer lab for that on-site learning. There's only about, I want to say 50 per site. Kids that were needing Kids Club, we're shuttling them back and forth in the morning and afternoon to a designated community education location. And then we also have a couple of our communities that were defined as at risk. So some of our title schools that we're going out to and providing transportation as well. So all in all, about 250 students, if I were to guess where we're at right now, that are being transported up. And then we're going to be doing a staggered start with K-1-2 starting next Thursday, the 17th, then 3-5 back on the 24th, and we'll carry all of our elementary kids up to fall break. Middle school will return on the 13th after fall break. So that's kind of where we're at. What we've heard from drivers, masks are going well. We are doing sanitation or sanitization in between each run or route. Everybody's been given a spray bottle that they go and kind of spritz those high touch areas that we've discussed. And also we did go ahead and load every bus with hand sanitizer so that the kids could get hand sanitizer as they're getting on the bus. So that's what Kyrene's doing. It's been working. There haven't really been I think we've had one student that just popped up recently that was anti-mask and giving the driver a hard time, but everybody else has been pretty on board with it as far as the amount of students that we're doing right now.
And with that small group we're transporting, we did have a positive case identified, but mitigation was protecting our folks, and there, to my knowledge, was no transmission. So that's positive.
Good to hear. Yeah, we started on the 17th as well with just special needs, and then we're doing a phased in next Wednesday is K-1-2, the 21st is 3-5, The 28th is 6-8. We're only going Monday through Thursday for hybrid. Friday will be an all online day. And then that will be the day that drivers come back in and we'll deep clean buses on Fridays. What we learned, you mentioned the spray bottles. Our maintenance guy bought us these things, which
Bug sprayers.
oh my God, they are absolutely amazing and so much better than the constantly moving your hand like this. The drivers absolutely love them, and they were pretty cheap. So
I like that idea.
yeah, and they have their bag. This just goes right in their bag with their masks and their gloves and all their other stuff that they carry with them. The bag was assigned to the driver, and it just goes out to the bus with them and comes in every day. So we haven't had any issues with masks either with our special needs kids. We have a few that are wearing shields instead of masks, but we're not having any issues at all. It's been very smooth, very, very smooth.
I'm having issues with drivers saying they can't use the Vindicator or the NutriQuat or any of the chemicals because they're having adverse reactions. I already had one have to go to Concentra because he was exposed to poisonous fumes, and they're, you know, they're just going off on any type of cleaning or disinfection right now.
One of the things that might help, Armando, is we were able to provide the SDS sheet to our drivers because we did have some inquiries about the safety of the distribution of the chemical in the enclosed area. And it does say when diluted properly, there is no risk. And so once they saw that, I feel like it kind of shut things down a tiny bit.
Yeah, we did that too. And we, on the spray bottles, we have the MDS
As
sheet
do we.
applied to it. And then I had a driver get the bottle and he went through every line, and right here it says it's poisonous. And I said, yeah, but we're not mixing it, you know, to where it is poisonous, and you're still using your mask, you're still using gloves, you know, so.
We're all going to have the ones that try to push it, and we all know that.
They've got everybody all riled up now, and we're trying to calm that down. And, you know, now I basically told them, if you find something on your own that you want to bring it into us. Let me look at it, see if it's acceptable for the school bus. You're purchasing it on your own. So they're bringing in like Lysol and, you know, stuff like that. And we're going through it, and most of it.
So you're allowing that instead of the chemical the district's recommended?
We're telling them no.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. And then we also have our portable spray unit that we use that does like a misting fog, and they can use that if they don't want to use the spray bottle. But I like Tommy's idea of that little pump sprayer. That's really good.
I mean, I think Steve Portman said they have spray bottles for $10 a piece. Is it this kind you're talking about, Steve? I'm not sure where our maintenance guy got them, but my guy's absolutely.
I think like Lowe's maybe, or
absolutely love them.
Maybe Granger might have them too, or something like that. So as far as our kids, I just barely came back into the office last Monday, and I only work a couple of days a week. But I mean, we've been transporting sped kids since the 17th, which we only have about 20. And you know, Ryan's done an awesome job of getting all that organized and started. And you know, everyone's supposed to come back after the 12th. We're going to have a Monday close and supposedly go Tuesday through Friday, staggered, whatever they've decided. The principals don't even know yet what they're doing. So we're supposed to be meeting next week as to what's going on. And I'm telling them, we need to decide because we got to get bus routes ready, you know, and every day it gets closer and closer. We're also looking at a possibility of a January start and keeping everybody on online services until January. So, you know, we'll see what happens. We've lost about 1,500 students. We're down to less than 4,000 kids that we know about. And so the district's pushing really hard trying to find where everybody else went, you know, because we're in dire financial trouble right now is what the district is telling us. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
It's a little different for everyone. I think some of the federal funding will close the gap a little bit, but not completely for sure.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, I know we finally got where Tolleson isn't any longer a hotspot in Maricopa County. So we just got notification yesterday that we're now free to open up our learning labs. So we're opening up our learning labs for our special needs students beginning on Monday. And then tentatively right now, bringing other students back October the 19th, I believe it is. So, and Jason, I do have a question for you. You said that you had hand sanitizer. Did you mount those for the students, or because I'm having a little challenge with that, and I would like to provide hand sanitizer for the students as they get on and off the bus, but just not quite sure what's the safest way to go about that.
Yeah, so we ended up using a series of zip ties, some of those real big, long zip ties, and just like 2 or 3 that zip tie around the handrail on either side wherever they fit snugly. So when we originally did it, we were looking at these like 1 liter Purell bottles that were kind of more rectangular and really fit in some nice places. But then what we ended up getting shipped to us was large 1 gallon round bottles. So we kind of had to switch some gears up, but in the way that we connected them via zip ties to the handrails, and then it just, I mean, it's tight. It's not going anywhere. It looks kind of silly, but it's working. So one of the other things that we did with the bottles that we received, there were only, each box came with like 4 or 5 bottles in it, but it only had 1 dispenser, like the actual pump. So we had to go buy pumps from Granger, and those were actually super long. So we put zip ties around that so we could literally limit how much fluid was being dispensed out of the bottles. And that way we're not getting, kids with a big squirt. They got a little bit, it was enough. And we used that for our drivers to do that for those that have been here with us and that did not go to site supervision. So we helped put zip ties on, and we're just trying to keep people as busy as we could during this time. So.
Okay, I don't know if
I
you can
think
see
it's cool.
this model here. This is from Buckeye Cleaning Supplies here in Tolleson. They just came out with this, but it's got about 1,000 pumps per bottle.
Sure.
So I'm supposed to be getting that delivered on Monday, but so they make a little basket that you can actually attach
to or to the dash or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just but
just,
the nice thing is it has the pump built in, so I think that's what we're going to go with.
Right. And that's what we didn't know until they showed up. So we kind of had to spin, switch gears and go scramble to find pumps. But we wanted it at the top of the stairwell, so that way when the kids come up, it was, pretty much even the older kids could reach without getting on. They could wipe their hands before, climbing on board. So, we're making it happen since DPS said, okay. Obviously I know Steph's in here and, they've come out with determinations about not doing that. But we're rolling with it and seeming to work okay. One of the other things I wanted to share just real quick, not to interrupt you, Dave, is that we just got our numbers from all of our students that are going to stay in flex learning until January. So I've removed all those students off of our routes. And then we did just did a survey via parents via telephone through our school messenger system, asking just the bus riders who was going to ride the bus by acknowledging a number 1 for a yes and then a number 2 for a no. So I got another 250 responses from parents saying no, and I went ahead and removed them off the bus. So for our kinders through 2nd grade for next week, we're only anticipating about 500 students riding our bus for the initial start, and then another 700 that we'll see back for 3rd through 5th. So that's about half, pretty much 50% ridership of what we normally have for our elementary K-5 students.
Yeah.
So that's really taking a lot of our, people want that number, that information out there. What are we expecting? We're looking about 50%. Steph's raised her hand. You want to unmute yourself, Stephanie?
Well, I was waiting until you were finished. I just wanted you to see that my hand was up.
Yes, it's up. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to clarify what you said about what I've said and what the trust has said, because that's not quite correct. With DPS coming out and saying that, well, with Jennifer coming out on behalf of DPS saying that, well, as long as it doesn't impact student safety, sure, that's fine. There isn't anything that any of us can do, whether we understand that hand sanitizer is flammable according to OSHA or not. So since DPS is on record saying, sure, you can have it on the bus, the trust official position is, okay, it's okay with DPS, so here are some guidelines you should follow. What I still stick to is I discourage school districts from keeping it on the bus overnight and between routes. There are many guidelines out there for the generic, general, you guys probably all have the brands of hand sanitizers that say, not only should hand sanitizer not be near an ignition source, it shouldn't be left in any sort of a vehicle for any length of time, nor should it be located in an egress, which is an exit. My final word on that is go ahead and do it if you have cleared it with your risk management or your risk manager at your school district or your legal team there. The trust is saying, here are the guidelines, do with them what you want. It's not that I'm coming out against it. I'm saying, look, we have more than just DPS guidelines to follow. You guys all know that. I'm saying, here they are. Choose to follow at least, choose to follow at least the advice that you've checked with your legal team or you checked with your risk manager. That's really the position, is do it, but make sure you've checked and double checked is all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Steph, we've went through this. We've given these to all the drivers, just the little ones, and they fill them up every day, but they don't leave them in the bus. We just bring them back and forth and they can squeeze it, hand them, give it out, but we don't leave it on the bus. And we chose not to mount anything on the bus because of that.
Sure. And again, we talk about liability all the time. That's one of my favorite approaches to things. You have to be able to answer, did you do your due diligence? Let's just say the worst case scenario, a student bumps into a mounted device and stuff spills on them and they've got, some skin, something, and suddenly they have a rash. The question has to be, did you do everything you were supposed to do? Did you do your due diligence? If you've moved it up the food chain to your risk manager at your district or through legal and those answers came back yes, then you're fine because you're able to say, we did everything we were supposed to do. We taught the kids, we coached them, we feel like it was safe. Then it's a no harm, no foul. It's if in that same scenario, you just thought, well, DPS says it's okay, so we're going to go ahead and do it. That's then where there becomes a liability issue. That's all I want you to know is if you've done your due diligence, you're good. You're fine.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to share before we get into how short everybody is?
I just want, Trace, you started with all your kids this week. How's that going?
Yeah, we started Tuesday. It's technically a hybrid schedule where people with last names A through L go Monday and Thursday and M through Z on Tuesdays and Fridays. All the special needs are going 4 days a week. But as far as transportation goes, we just are running every route every day, stopping at every stop, keeping on our timeline. So when we go full speed on the 21st, it's no difference. So we're running full out right now. We just are hauling a lot less kids. Hopefully, if everything goes right on the 21st, it'll just be full buses to be running, every day type thing.
So, hi, it's Vanessa from Alhambra. Hi, everyone.
Morning.
So, good morning. We started transporting out of tuition students and learning spaces students. Our learning spaces are for spaces for students who need a place to go, a safe place to go. And so we have learning spaces, we have out of tuition, And then we're still doing our meals to go. We're delivering meals twice a week. We started that on the 17th. We have created cleaning kits, and the cleaning kits have everything the driver needs to go out on route, including disinfectant and microfiber towels, extra masks for students who show up at the bus stop without a mask. This is what we did for hand sanitizer. We have these little pump bottles, kind of like, they're smaller, they're small. So similar to what you're doing, Trace. And we just have the drivers fill them up as needed. And that seems to be working pretty well. The drivers pick up their cleaning kits from the disinfecting crew in the morning, and then they turn those cleaning kits in after each route, and then the disinfecting crew replenishes those kits after each route. So they're always filled with everything the driver needs. And then we have bus assistants on our buses, and we wait for the students to get on the buses and get in their seat. And once they're seated safely, the bus assistant gives all the kids a squirt of hand sanitizer after they're seated. Our concern was having students apply hand sanitizer and their hand being wet and then grabbing onto the handrail. So we just thought that was the most prudent course of action, was to have them apply the hand sanitizer after they're seated. And then the bus assistant gets off the bus at each stop and gives them a squirt after they disembark the bus. And that's what we're doing with our hand sanitizer. We also had an antimicrobial barrier sprayed on the interiors of all of our buses, and that actually is a 365-day protection. We only have to apply it once a year, and it basically kills germs and bacteria on contact. And so we are disinfecting in between runs, but as an added layer, we did the antimicrobial barrier. We're doing disinfecting between runs, and it's going pretty smooth. We have some of our students that are special needs that are not real keen on wearing masks, but we're just working with those families on a individual basis, and we're using face shields as the alternative.
Vanessa, where did you get the antimicrobial spray from?
It's a company came out and applied it. It's called MicroShield 360. And so this company came out and sprayed that barrier, and I don't know all the science behind it, but this is like an 18 strands of some scientific bonding, and it attaches to whatever surface it's applied to. And there's like these little microbes, and those microbes kill the germs when it hits it. And then we just have to do our regular cleaning to keep those probes cleaned.
Yeah.
And so that's the route we've gone, and we're hoping that it's successful. We haven't had any issues or any kind of positive cases. So far so good.
Interesting. Did they apply it like a bug bomb where it fogged the bus, or?
They used an electrostatic sprayer.
Oh,
So we had, we have all of our staff on back at work, and so we had a lot of time to get our buses very clean. And so we had our drivers and assistants go in and deep clean our buses prior to the application. And then when that vendor came out, they also did a disinfecting and then applied the antimicrobial barrier. And so now we just really need to do our daily maintenance to keep those probes on that antimicrobial barrier clean.
cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What was this Dan over at Kyrene also? What was the price per bus? What was the breakdown?
I actually don't have that data. We sprayed them in our schools as well, and that was facilitated at district level. I was just in charge of giving them the quantities of vehicles that needed to be treated. But I can definitely follow up with that information in an email if you'd like.
I just found out that every night our district is going to be sprayed in the classrooms by some company come in to do it, and they're working on getting our buses done every night as well. That they come in, just it's like a little bomb thing that just goes off and it's just left. I know the district, I think it's $70,000 a month is what they're paying for all of our 16 campuses, but they're trying to work in doing the buses as well. So I'll find more about that next week.
We went to the Protexis machine with the Imodium-based disinfectant. Those aren't scheduled to arrive until like October or November. And so when we started a few special ed buses back up for our outsourced schools, and we just had our first McKinney-Vento sign on, you know, I went to my boss and said, you know, I've sat in all these meetings talking about how proud I was about the level of mitigation our district was willing to take. And I don't think we should do any less. I don't know how they did it, but they found another company with the exact same gun, almost identical, named Victory. And so I have 30 units sitting here. We have 4 in use right now. That's using like a chlorine-based disinfectant. So basically what the schools use out there, the Clorox 360 machines, but it's a portable machine, a portable handgun about this big. And we actually disinfect after every time we have students on board. I thought that was appropriate for our employees to lower that time of exposure if you did have anything on board. I sold that idea and they actually bought it. So I was pretty proud of that. But then I couldn't get my chemical or my guns in, and they actually went and found someone else. So right now I'm using the same product they use in the 360 machines. We'll do that after every time we have students on board. You know, the question from the driver was, well, can I just wait till I get back to the yard and disinfect my bus? And I was like, I wouldn't. I mean, if it was me and I had a possible exposure, or, you know, you wouldn't know if someone's you know, they're not showing signs, right? And they're that, what do they call it? I can't think of the name.
Asymptomatic.
Thank you, asymptomatic. I mean, you wouldn't know. So I said, if it was me and my boss handed me a machine that would disinfect my bus, as soon as I come empty and I go back and do my student safety check, right? So we have the Zonar student safety check, and then we also have Checkmate on board, but you don't click your bus off necessarily. So I told them, when you go back and hit that button, carry the machine with you, disinfect back. Well, I'd probably do my seat first, go back, hit the button, and then come, you know, back to the front of the bus and fog your bus.
Right. And one of the things we said too is, like, we are giving you the opportunity to take ownership of your safety and how efficient and effective you sanitize.
Well,
like,
yeah, all of a sudden you've closed that window of exposure down to minutes rather than the 30 minutes to drive back from Excel. I'm like, no, don't wait till you come back. Spray, pull over on the curb and spray. Yeah. Well, I did some numbers on it because I was looking into a different system that makes chlorine dioxide, which I actually believe in greatly. But I looked at it and it would run me, I mean, I did all kind of math on it, and it came out to, I'm going to do about 28.125 gallons of product a week, right? So if you take that, $170 a case of the Clorox 360 type material, one's called like Spore 4 and one's Clorox 360, the chlorine based, it comes out to about $1,290 a week in chemical alone. The chloride dioxide creating machine, which is amazing. I really think it's an effective process, and you can apply it with a can like someone shared earlier. Actually use that instead of an electronic, you know, battery, all that. You know, it was about $29.99 because $2,999 a week, you know, if you use the same amount of chemical. What was really cool, so you guys know, I had done some math on that, and that was looking, I was saying, okay, everybody says you're going to use 2 to 4 ounces, you know, in 320 square feet, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So I, of course, went on the upper end, so I didn't short my budget or what I estimated. So I said 4 ounces in application, 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon. So I've got, you know, 4, 8, 12, 24 ounces, 720 ounces times 30 buses times, you know, and I did the math, right? Well, the amazing thing, so you guys know right now, our purchasing agent saw a grant at the county, called up, and they go, oh, well, all we're asking is estimate how much product you're going to use. So my purchasing agent said, Eric, send me that email that you sent me earlier. And she said he's going to use 28.125 gallons a week. Here's how he came up with the number. They're covering 20 weeks of our chemical on a grant. They gave us over $30,000 worth of chemicals, 600 gallons they're going to send over for transportation. So the chloride dioxide thing is out because I can't do more money and lose the opportunity to offset 30 grand. Mm-hmm. So that's the direction we're going. The chemical they're sending is ammonium based as well instead of chlorine, which is a little less, no PPE. Like these chlorine based ones, they got to have goggles, gloves, and a mask. Not a respirator, but a mask. I like that the other ones you don't have to have any PPE, but I've got something, I'm very proud of it. I'm happy that my district supported that amount of chemical for transportation, not just the classroom. And we're not getting disinfect after the morning runs or the end of the day or whatever after every tier. So you know, there is a victory out there if you're waiting on your Protexus, that they literally, I have them in my hands already. They were delivered in a matter of days. $700 a piece.
Nice.
Thank you. So switch gears, try and keep us on track. How's everybody? I know that it's probably valley-wide, nationwide. Anybody want to share how short they are and what they're maybe doing to figure out how to close those gaps?
We're 30 down right now.
How many?
30.
And are you doing anything about, I mean, you're reaching out to, I know you're using ALC, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we've been trying it. Obviously, being new to it, I don't know everything we can do, but we're chopping routes and we're pushing things together, and everybody and their uncle's driving, and it's just trying to get through.
Has anybody said anything about, you know, obviously they're trying to limit how many students are in a classroom. Is there any pushback about chopping routes and combining routes where you can and adding more students to a bus because of, you know?
Yeah, they don't have a lot of choice right now if they want to go to school.
Got it. Tommy, you want to talk about what you guys are doing?
We're short as of this morning now, 11 drivers. And what we did was Tuesday night I went to the board and asked to extend our walk boundary from 1 to 2 miles. So the board did approve that. With that, it allowed me to drop seven and a half routes. But what I was able to do was still get all of our K through 5 kids that are 1 or more miles on a bus. And then middle school, we're using the 2 miles. Parents are registering for the bus. We're able to meet all those accommodations, and we're about 1,100 right now. So it really helped drop in those numbers. So with what I have, I'm going to be short 2, and it looks like 2 of my office staff will be driving to start. But celebration is, I had one of my drivers that left us 2 years ago call, and she would like to come back.
Nice.
Yay.
Because there are no applications. I don't know about you guys. I have nothing.
Same. We just talked to our CFO today to, you know, kind of go through all the measures. And since July, we've only interviewed 6 people and, you know, onboarding 4, but actually 2 of those 4 are only part-time. So, you know, I mean, we're out there. It's just, you know.
We've had some interest in about April and May, and then 2 of them are moving to the state, but because I can't guarantee we're not going to shut down in November, they're not interested now.
Sure.
And I got one that works for another district and wants to come join us, but they're afraid to come over here as being the new person and lose everything that they've gained over there at the other district, and they've been there for a while. And I get it, and I'm not going to steal from someone else right now, you know? But moving that walk boundary to 2 miles, some parents were pretty upset. But once they realized we were able to accommodate everyone that truly needs it with that 2 miles, even from a mile above, they've seemed pretty happy about it. So
how are you identifying who truly needs it? Like, who are the exceptions, Tommy?
we did a survey and sent to parents for them to fill out. And then we've just been going straight off that. So we're not asking, is this really something dire that you need or you can't get to school? They're just filling it out and we're able to accommodate. The funny part was we had parents that have never received transportation because they live like around the corner from the school signing up for transportation. Or parents that their kids in Digital Learning Academy will never be in campus signing up. And I'm like, do they expect me to pick them up, drive them around the block and drop them back off at home for in between classes or something? I mean, but yeah, so far right now we're looking at about 3,500. We'll be busing, which we normally do about 5,000. So we're down.
We're right there about the same place, and that's, you know, we're trying to go through. We're looking at some vendors, you know, trying to figure out who's available vendor-wise that might be able to help with that. But that's obviously a pretty costly option in all of those areas. But you know, at the same time, we're also trying to do what we can to advocate for our drivers, because if they look down the list of mitigation strategies the district's publishing as far as what they're doing to prevent crowds and whatnot, and then we're just going to turn around and say, well, guess what? You were scheduled for 20 and now you're scheduled for 40 or 50, you know, tough beans, you're going to have to deal with it. That doesn't really look like we're doing much to advocate for them. So
the equity.
Yeah. Definitely trying to work around that.
One of the ideas I thought about, and I haven't reached over yet, Agua Fria is our feeder district for the high school, and right now they're not even looking at hybrid until way late.
Yeah.
And with us starting was maybe borrowing some of theirs to help us out, but I don't want them to get comfortable here and not go back when the high school starts.
Has anybody lost anybody who's allowing staff to work at schools for site supervision to keep them busy, has anybody lost any staff to schools taking an IA position instead?
Yeah.
One.
We didn't lose any, but it was playing hell to try to get them back from the school. The schools didn't want to release them.
Right. Patrick, I see you popped in. You want to talk about what you guys are doing up in Flag?
Well, we are requiring everybody to register for the bus, and they're doing that through the actually their online registration. So when they register for school, they've added a question if they need transportation or if they're requesting transportation. We have about 8,900 students who are going to be in some form of physical school, whether that means that they'll come back in this quarter where we're looking at October 12th, or if they're going to come back the next quarter in January. We don't really know for sure what their timeline is, the parents. Our board hasn't completely decided that we're coming back on the 12th, but that's the plan that we're working on. So out of 8,900 students, we've got 3,750 that have requested transportation. So now we're going through to determine, who meets the eligibility, who meets that walk distance and things like that. So I haven't really lost drivers. I lost drivers early in the year, but I didn't lose them over the summer. We actually finalized training for 4 over the summer, and I think we're going to end up with 3 out of those 4 staying with us. Everybody else is kind of working spread out, in the schools. The we call them safe learning centers. What the state has required that we at least have 1 building open. We've actually got 6. So they're in all those locations. I think it is going to be interesting trying to bring them back when school is in, because there will still be students in those centers still needing daytime supervision or assistance with their devices. But I actually, hearing you guys, I feel a little better. I've got a class starting next week. Only 2 drivers, but I stole one from Hilma.
Well, that's a long distance.
Well, he's got a second home up here, so that makes it easier. I said, do you know how expensive it is up here? He says, well, I got a second home there. I was like, okay, done.
Is anyone seeing much of a backlog or a long process with DMV to go take the permit test? Because last one I talked to them, they were telling me it was 6 weeks out to make the appointment. Like if I call them today to schedule an appointment for a permit test, it was 6 weeks out. The earliest was like October 16th or something like that they
Is
could
that
do
just from the commercial side or any MVD?
at CDL side.
So
Yeah, we had that happen here, that they had to wait a few weeks to get in for an appointment. Yeah.
can't they go and take that at any MVD now?
Trace is saying yes.
You
Thomas is
can.
saying yes.
I'm just saying we haven't run into that issue. Our people have just gone down to the local MVD just down the street and been able to do it without going to the commercial one out in Mesa.
Right. The trick to get an appointment is you have to call them at 730.00 to get into the phone call.
Sure.
If you call 5 minutes later, you're on permanent hold. But if you call right the second they open, I've done it like 6 times now, and they've always answered the phone right off the bat. But if you call any later than that, you're screwed.
Are any of the districts that have third-party testers, are they allowing you to bring other district people in, like from another district, to do that third-party test, or are they just stopping it altogether?
Yeah, we've tested for several other schools.
Mhm.
Same here. Glendale Union is always available if needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we're still doing third-party testing. We really haven't had any difficulty with CDL. So, and they're in the same building, always have been here.
Anybody else running real short or want to share any strategies that they're doing to either combine routes or, pull in a vendor to help with special needs or anything like that?
Well, we're kind of doing something. No, I was going to say, we're kind of doing something in Yuma I haven't heard yet, that other people were saying, that we actually put all of our routes on Blackboard Connect, that we can actually cancel a bus route even at the last minute, where the students would have to do remote learning if we don't have enough people to go out and run bus routes. We'll just cancel that particular bus route and they'll have to stay home for the day.
Nice that you have that option.
Yeah, that was definitely supported through our schools to do that.
We're definitely concerned about, obviously not just the shortage that we currently have, but what is that going to look like as people start coming back and kids are coming back? If we're giving them a 20-point checklist of all the things that they have to kind of self-assess themselves on whether or not they feel right to come to work, trying to figure out, if you got the sniffles, do you stay home? If you got a headache, do you stay home? And so, obviously when Shannon shared that piece with our one student that did test positive that we went through, I'm sure several of you saw it in the news. The big piece was that our drivers didn't have to stay home and quarantine for the 14 days was because they're considered essential workers. So there was a lot of language in there to basically, keep aware of their physical health and see what that looked like. And so, but we're already seeing 4 to 5 call outs a day, and we only have 40 people here out of our 80 that are, physically working here in our transportation building. So that's really going to put a damper on us on top of the 12 routes that we already are short going into next Thursday.
Right. It's the nature of the beast too, right? With the work we do, we have call-ins every single day. And now that coupled with actual gaps is going to be.
Well, that's an amazing thing that Yuma's doing. I mean, put in Blackboard, because now we have that virtual option for the kids. Yeah. So they're still getting the education. Sean, Steve Poorman, Patrick, and Carol, are your districts decided that now that virtual is an option, you will have no more snow days this year?
That is a consideration that they have kind of built the calendar around. So if we can go virtual, we may be able to play with some of the minutes and things like that, as far as how many days we have to be in. So that's definitely a consideration that they're looking at with the state, trying to determine whether or not we have enough days on our calendar and that. So they're not really building in much in the way of extra days because of that possibility.
Okay. Just wondering how that worked.
Alhambra is short 11 drivers and 4 assistants. And we have this handy dandy stick figure symptoms. Can you guys see that? If our drivers have any of these symptoms, they don't get to come to work. And we activate our COVID protocol, and sometimes the result of that is they are out 10 days for self-quarantine or until they go test and have a negative result and are symptom-free for 3 days. And so on top of the shortage, we have, the call-ins. And so one day last week, I had 17 people call in. So, and then, word spreads quickly. So, just say you have a headache, you can take a week off.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's one of the challenges that we're facing right now.
How are you covering those routes?
What was that, Jason?
I said, how are you covering those routes then? Are you just, splitting things up, or are you shutting things down like Ron?
Luckily, we have, we're running very limited routes. We have 11 learning spaces routes and 5 out of tuition. So we're running very, very limited. So we've been able to cover those routes. And when all else fails, my office staff will drive a route. So what I'm more concerned about is really, when we go back to school and we're looking at a November start date, that it's all just in the works right now. Nothing has been finalized.
Okay.
Well, it sounds like we're all kind of in the same boat.
I'm not short.
You're not short?
Had 100% people come back.
Wow.
Get out of the boat.
Kick him out. Kick him out.
I'll take some of yours.
I have some you can have.
Actually, Dave Suter's even closer.
Was it Ron who said that they loaded their routes in the Blackboard Connect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that in previous districts. It's it's a really quick way to get the word out to your families. We Blackboard, and also School Messenger has that option that we use.
Yeah, we use Blackboard as well, Ron.
Yeah.
That's what we're using. And all of our data is, we uploaded it from, so we use TransFinder as our routing software, Synergy is our student management system, and then we use Blackboard as our communication tool. So all of that data is uploaded into Blackboard from Synergy. And it works really well for if we wouldn't need to get information out really quickly.
So you can pull it for just the kids on that route that's in Synergy. Okay.
Yeah. So does that mean you have the route information in Synergy as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually we don't. Ours is a little bit different. Synergy feeds our routing program, and then through our IMS department, they're taking the information from the routing program and putting that into the Blackboard Connect by route segments.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should just be an export from whatever routing program you're using. Could be a CSV file and just uploads into your student information. Should be real easy.
Yeah, I'm on a 15-year plan of getting data back to Synergy.
Yeah.
Hey, we just made that happen in the last year. So, hey,
that could
there's
be
room
a
for
whole
progress.
other hour conversation.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
Next
Vanessa,
week's topic.
yeah, we're using all 3 softwares that Vanessa's using. So maybe there's a little bit of conversation about how to get that back into Synergy and then Blackboard.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than happy to answer any questions or support.
Which district are you at, Vanessa?
Alhambra.
Okay. Maybe I'll shoot you an email later.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, that was a quick hour. So you guys want to do this again in 2 weeks or right before fall break?
Yes, we should. We should do it in 2 weeks.
All right. So maybe let's say like the 2nd. Would that work? 2nd of October, and that will give everybody an opportunity to kind of collect some thoughts on what it actually looks like with all schools open and all routes running. And I'll send out another invite. This will go up and again, like I said, posted on the TAA website. I just want to reiterate the use of the forums are up there live on the TAA website as well. So, you know, rather than getting all the emails that we're sending back and forth, it's a great place to put in the forum chat. And then that way, again, if you think about this 10 years down the road, you know, people are able to search that stuff and we can, you know, go back and say, hey, Tommy said something that I heard or saw. Rather than it being an email and not being able to search that, it's going to live there in the forum for people down the road to be able to look at. So
build our future.
We just call the Godfather Eric to give us all the answers.
It will be a good resource for up and coming for sure.
We'll see on the 2nd how tight our straitjackets are after all this gets going next week.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm excited. I miss the controlled chaos of a school year. I am not liking this uncontrolled chaos. That's the only way really to describe it, I think. And
Hey, I will say my department has never been so clean. I mean,
after being back to help Jeff with first week of school in Wisconsin last week, I realized how much I missed that controlled chaos of the first week of school starting.
It's my very favorite time. My very favorite.
Yeah, I got to drive with kids. It was absolutely awesome to get that back in, and yeah.
Well, it's good seeing everybody. Thanks. We got 30 participants in here during the course of this meeting, so good seeing everybody. Good luck next week for those that are returning, and we'll see everybody on the 2nd. Keep an eye out for that invite.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
bye, guys.
Bye.